Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dear brothers, sisters and viewers Ikra TV. Welcome to another edition of Real Talk. I'm your host Iqbal Bana. As I say, coming to your homes every week, week in and week out, invading your privacy, but hopefully bringing some people here in front of you with some real knowledge and experience who can share things with us that can help us in our day-to-day lives. Now, obviously, over the last few weeks, we've been talking about Gaza. Last week, I couldn't be here, so we had another program on. This week, although I'm moving away from the subject of Gaza because I'm hoping to do that again next week. But I know Gaza is at the forefront of everybody's minds at the moment. We know what is happening there. It's absolutely traumatic. It's heart destroying. And today again, we've seen some real atrocious development taking place there. Number of people killed. It's reckoned by the Hamas medical authorities that in the last 2-3 days, over 2,000 people may have sort of suffered real injuries, and nearly 500 people have been killed in this indiscriminate bombing that is going on. Now, one of the things we have seen is the devastation of the health infrastructure in Gaza itself, throughout the whole of the Gaza Strip actually. And health is one of the key issues that is affecting them. So today on my program, I've got two really well-known, well-respected, highly regarded health professionals who are doing something different, not in Gaza at the moment, but hopefully what they're doing now with this initiative that they have got will inshallah help the people of Gaza when we move forward. One of my guests is no stranger to us. You've seen him many times before, and as soon as the camera hits his face, I'm sure you'll recognize him. He first joined me at the beginning of COVID when he helped us understand the impacts of COVID, both on us as a community, but also what was happening in the profession itself, particularly in hospitals, because he was and still is, in fact he's now been promoted as the Deputy Chief Executive and now the Chief Operating Officer, well he was then as well, of the Bradford Royal Infirmary. Saj Ajib, welcome to my program. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you for coming along. Now, alongside with him, for the first time today on my program, and I hope it's not going to be the last time, is Dr. Taj Hassan, who is a consultant in emergency medicine and the first Asian Muslim chair of the consultants, the Emergency Medicine Consultative Committee. I'm sure he'll give you the name himself properly. And they're both involved in this project called the Collaborative Halo Project, which is at the moment directed at Pakistan. But I'm sure once it has been developed and the work has sort of got into a situation where it can be transformed and translated and transported to other parts of the world as well. But I'm hoping, and I'm sure they'll reiterate, that once inshallah Gaza settles down and things start to come back to normality with the devastation of the medical infrastructure there, that they will be able to help the people of Gaza get to the level where they need this emergency medical help as well. And it's called the Collaborative Halo Program, which is ostensibly and in reality to try and develop the skills of people in Pakistan, the medical skills, and develop people who can deliver medical skills and medical services at the grassroots level. As Saj said to me before we went on air, a lot of people are going into Pakistan, doing short-term work, doing sort of emergency support work and then pulling out. But this is something different. This is actually developing the skills at the grassroots over there, developing the people and the skills to deliver services at the grassroots across the whole of the country. So Dr. Taj, thank you for coming. Thank you for joining me.
Assalamu alaikum.
Nice to have you here for the first time as well. Obviously, your proper title, the title of the consultant emergency medical, I didn't get that right. What was it, sir? You were the first Muslim Asian. Congratulations.
So I was the president of the Royal College of
President, that's what I meant.
Emergency medicine.
All right. And this is the UK.
It was for UK, yeah, for UK and Ireland.
Oh, Ireland as well.
Yeah. So the first, there were only 10 Royal Colleges in the UK, and the Royal College of Emergency Medicine is
one of them.
So I was very fortunate and very honoured, and it was a wonderful experience.
And your experience and expertise and your practices around emergency trauma and medical care, isn't it, at the moment? Dr. Taj works at the St. James hospital, Leeds Teaching Hospitals?
So I work at both. I work at the Trauma Centre and
Right.
also at St James's, Leeds Teaching Hospitals overall. I've been a consultant there for 24 years.
Oh, mashallah.
And I've been lucky enough to have a wonderful time, and I think the service has evolved into one of the largest systems in the UK.
Right.
We're probably the second or third busiest trauma centre in the UK.
I mean, I know in the old days they used to say the Leeds Teaching Hospitals was one of the largest NHS institutions in Europe.
It certainly was, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I think various systems have combined, but we certainly are still probably, in the top 5 in Europe.
Right, excellent. Can you explain this collaborative HALO program? What is it all about? What are you trying to achieve here?
I think it's worth going back a little bit
Right.
of where Pakistan is, emergency care in Pakistan. So if you think about it, at your time of greatest need, whether you are ill, whether your family is ill, whether your child is ill, we're very fortunate in this country. We ring 999, we're taken to an emergency department, we're cared for there, and then we're admitted. In Pakistan, they're not so lucky. In Pakistan, for a population of 240 million people, there are less than 200 emergency medicine doctors. In the UK, there are 3,500.
Right.
So
for a much smaller population.
For a very, very small, for a much smaller population. So I think I was originally involved when I was president at the Royal College in going back to Pakistan regularly. I was born in Pakistan, luckily, and it's a real honor to be able to help the country of my birth. And back in 2016, we set up the Pakistan Society for Emergency Medicine, which brought together this group of leaders in Pakistan. But they're a small group and they need help, and there's a vast diaspora of Pakistanis all around the world who want to help the country of their birth. So we formed the Pakistan Society for Emergency Medicine and then ran a couple of conferences. We then ran a leadership summit where we developed a roadmap for emergency care development in Pakistan in 2019. And one of the key things that we wanted to bring together at that leadership summit that we agreed on that we wanted to develop was national centers where people from outside Pakistan, people like me, could come and train the local people in these.
Do you have
centers.
Sufficient number of local people, doctors and nurses in Pakistan that they can skill up to the level you want to?
So the reality is that actually there are very few emergency departments as we know it, but there are hundreds upon hundreds of government hospitals that are run by medical officers who have little or no training. And the collaborative HALO program is all about using technology, supporting trainers like me to go to Pakistan, and then developing training trainers in Pakistan so that we have a halo effect, so that we truly can fast track emergency medicine development in Pakistan.
So this is training the trainers over there who can then train other people and build up that grassroots.
So it's building major centers and building them up and pulling in people from peripheral centers so that you train more people, because emergency medicine is mission critical. It's what all of us seek, if we're unlucky enough to fall ill or if we're injured. And if you look at the World Health Organization, unfortunately Pakistan is very low in the league table of adequate facilities. It's very high in the league table of avoidable death, of people who are injured on the very busy roads, people who don't wear helmets, children. And our job is to create that infrastructure to be able to support those trainers so that if you are taken to hospital, you can be assessed safely, you can get safe treatment, and that you can be passed on into the rest of the system.
Saj, obviously, you, as I say, Deputy Chief Executive and Chief Operating Officer of BRI. So, I mean, setting aside that role, what's obviously you're from Pakistan.
Yeah.
I know you're born in this country, but your origins from Pakistan. So you have an affinity with Pakistan. And is that why you got involved in this project, to see how you can help Pakistan itself as a country.
Absolutely, and I think obviously our family background links back to Pakistan are very strong, and we serve a community that is very diverse, and certainly in Bradford, a significant proportion of Pakistanis who reside and live within Bradford as well. My own personal involvement has, and the interest was sparked through the establishment of major trauma networks in this country actually, and that's where some of the learning actually we can apply to Pakistan. So it was in 2012 actually, 2013, when major trauma networks came to being in the UK.
Can we just explain, Dr. what is trauma? Because some people may not understand the word trauma and what it means.
So trauma is basically if you get run over by a car, if you fall off your motorbike, if you fall from a ladder, if you get stabbed, if you get shot, that's trauma.
Right.
Yeah.
So if your child is knocked over by a car, what they need is somebody to be able to safely assess them, take them in an ambulance, get them to the hospital and care for them.
These are the people who work in the emergency departments.
That's right.
In the emergency. So we are
sometimes
specialists.
the worst,
So
some of the worst injuries and health conditions.
So we see these patients in that first hour. It's called the golden hour. So the first hour after you're injured is the time that you really need to be rapidly assessed and treated and taken to theatre if you need to. And that's what Saj was involved in helping set up major trauma centres in this country.
Right.
And
coming back.
Yeah, so you see what was happening here in the UK, and there's lots of evidence for this, was that there was avoidable harm and avoidable death. And it was in 2012 or 2013 when major trauma networks came about and major trauma centres was established. So in West Yorkshire, our major trauma centre is the Leeds Teaching Hospital that Taj was referencing before, so at the LGI. And what that work found was that actually if you can take somebody to a major trauma centre, their mortality risk, avoidable death, reduces by about 19%. It was significant.
Quite a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and not only is it about mortality, actually about quicker recovery as well, and being able to get rehabilitation and back to work as well. So in the UK, there's approximately between 24 or 27 major trauma centres. Leeds is one of those trauma centres. And
does that cover West Yorkshire? Or is
that
it
covers
beyond
West Yorkshire. That covers West Yorkshire. But there's a major trauma centre in Hull, and there's one in Sheffield. So some major trauma centres are both adult and children. Some are just adults, and some are just children's centres. So, like I said, there's about 27, I think it is, in the whole of the country. And the concept.
And you were involved in.
Yeah, so we were involved in the
centres.
establishment of those trauma centres. And the theory behind it, the research showed that if you have all of the relevant specialisms within that one location, because they can all get together at the same time, and as Taj described, the golden hour within the first hour of that trauma patient coming through the doors, and being able to undertake the necessary MRI scans, the CTs, the operations, the likelihood of surviving that trauma is significant. And actually in the UK, major trauma is the leading cause of death for the population up to about the mid-40s. So if you get that right, actually you do save a lot of lives. And that's where I think this inspiration for setting up the model with Pakistan comes from, in terms of the learning that we can take from the UK and put it into places like Pakistan.
So people who work in these trauma units, I mean, they would need to develop specialist skills, won't they?
Yes.
In some of these areas, like you say, whether you're stabbing, you're shooting, falling off a motorbike, whatever it is. So is that where you're concentrating this particular HALO program at the moment? Taking people who are already in the medical field in Pakistan, but developing these additional skills so they can work in the trauma centre?
That's absolutely right. So not just for trauma, but also for medical emergencies. So emergency departments deal with trauma, they deal with sick children, they deal with critically ill people with heart attacks and strokes and diabetes. So ultimately the program will wrap together to manage all of these conditions much better. So because the medical officers in Pakistan at the moment in many of the government hospitals have just not received the appropriate training.
Right.
And so what we're doing is supporting the leaders in Pakistan to create this national network of Halo centres so that the training for each of those medical officers in each of the major government hospitals can be improved.
Mm. Now this program has started already, as you were saying. You've got 4 trauma.
So we were lucky enough to receive an initial donation that has allowed us to run the first conference, Halo conference in Karachi in October of this year, and we brought together 4 major systems, and so we have now 4 Halo centres in Sindh province in Pakistan. Next year we will be launching in Lahore.
Can you tell my viewers where these centres are at the moment?
Sure.
Please.
So we're running one with our partners, Indus Health Network. Dr. Abdul Bari has been fantastically supportive.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly is the Child Life Foundation, who run a number of pediatric emergency departments in Pakistan, and so we'll be partnering with one of their major centres in Karachi. Thirdly is the Benazir Bhutto Trauma Centre, which is part of the civil hospital in Karachi. And fourthly, which is outside Karachi, is in Hyderabad, and that will be the 4th Halo Centre.
Right.
And we'll be.
So these are the beginning of, inshallah, a much bigger, wider network of Halo centres.
So we hope, inshallah, that over the next 3 years that we will expand to about 25 national Halo centres.
Yeah.
And
so, I mean, all this work that you're doing, is that dependent on people making donations, supporting you with financial support, other forms of support? How do you carry on this work and carry out this work?
Yeah, so that's a really good point. We've been very fortunate that we've been able to have an initial donation that's allowed us to start that process. Originally we were going to start it next year, but next year we'll have a further launch in February, and we'll begin then into fundraising. And the fundraising is really targeted at 3 areas. One is the technology to develop, because we know that through technology and an e-learning platform you can reach many more people. So it'll fund the technology and the infrastructure for that. It'll fund teams to go out there, and it'll fund the Halo centres that are out there to give them the equipment and development. So that
can I come back to one of my original programs? I know in Africa, where I come from, you may have the buildings and the infrastructure, but you don't have the people.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right? You don't have enough nurses, you don't have
That's
doctors, etc.
Yeah.
What's the situation like in Pakistan?
You know, Pakistan is very fortunate in that it has so much talent,
Right.
and so much enthusiasm and energy, but those young doctors and nursing staff don't necessarily have enough trainers. And I think what we're doing is creating that network that supports the local trainers, but then expands them through this diaspora of Pakistanis. And the diaspora is based in the Middle East, in Australia, in Canada, in the United States, and we're driving that process from Leeds, from West Yorkshire, which is a fantastic
one of the
honour.
criticisms, for example, today I was listening to the Home Secretary talk about, the new visa system that he's going to bring in, is the export of skills from developing countries and third world countries or developing countries. Now, is that an issue that Pakistan faces as well? You train these people up, they've developed the skills, and do they then go outside?
So you know, you've really hit the nail on the head there, because actually traditionally what we've tended to do is we've trained people through examinations that the Royal Colleges offer, and that encourages people to leave the country. The Halo program is unique for investing in Pakistan, for Pakistan. And I think that's where it'll be predominantly for people who are staying in Pakistan to help
How
people.
can you keep them there?
Well, because I think that the program that we're developing is a 1-year program that actually supports local development further. Some of them, of all the people I meet, usually about 90% of people want to stay, 10% want to leave, and of course it's
You can't
stop that, and you
Yeah,
should
yeah.
encourage that. But actually, by supporting and investing in the 90% who are staying and creating this halo effect, then you really are
Inshallah.
beginning to
Sure.
drive change.
I mean, obviously, we've had this dearth of people sort of leaving this country as well. And I'm sure you face that in your other job, your day-to-day job, which is, losing skilled staff, experienced staff to other parts of the world because they offer a better service. Maybe the lifestyle over there is much better. And that's what happened, as a consequence of that, we have seen a huge outflux of people from this country. Now, obviously, that is a challenge for Pakistan, and I know it's a challenge for in Africa as well. So in terms of this more major trauma work, and I will come back, we'll be going for a break very shortly. As I asked you before, and you said yes, it's transferable. The skills and the knowledge that you learn from this program can be transferred hopefully as well.
So trauma management is a common language. What we're trying to do is to teach people that common language of trauma assessment and management in the first hour. The things that are going to kill them in the first 5 minutes, and teaching people the skills to avoid that in the first 15, in the first half hour. And I think that we're very fortunate to have built up this international network, and now we've begun on that journey, and inshallah, we can.
I mean, I hope that what you've heard so far has inspired you. If anybody wants to share your thoughts on this issue, please phone in. The number appears on the screen, 01274 214 299. We'd like to hear your experiences. If you're in Pakistan, you've got family, friends over there who've gone through, some medical challenges, then maybe you might want to share your experience and your thoughts on this. The program that Dr. Taj and Saj Ajib has sort of explained to us seems like a sort of panacea, if you want to use the word, that in years to come will overcome some of these challenges. Inshallah, don't go away. Enjoy a cup of tea, faluda, whatever it is that you have in the break. We'll be back with you very soon after the azan. Take care. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.